Now it's time for Movie Friends with your hosts Michelle and Seth. We're talking film without pretension. We're finding cats that are unexpected. We'll watch a movie, film, or schmovie, and we want you to join our journey. So subscribe and share this podcast, or this might just be the last of the Movie Friends. We're movie friends. We want to be your movie friends.
Hey, welcome to Movie Friends. I'm here with my friend Michelle Rubenstein, who is only an hour plane ride away.
And I'm here with my friend Seth Vargas, who might know what 5 times 5 is.
I do.
Good.
What's going on?
Well, I mean, I just talked your ear off about my new obsession of Vampira, so
Yes.
I'll save the listeners that.
Yeah, Michelle is still down the Vampira Edward rabbit hole from last week.
It's exciting. I found like a good podcast, which led me to a Substack, which led me to Mila Nurmi's niece's book that she wrote about her. Mm-hmm.
Wow.
I know.
Everything's coming up Vampira.
Let me tell you. How are you? You're dressed very differently. Why don't you describe how you're dressed?
Well, I'm here. I shaved my beard for the most part. I got a big mustache.
Bandana
tied around my neck for sweat. Got a open chest, button up white shirt. Do you know who I'm supposed to be?
Alfredo?
I'm Alfredo.
Yes. Very nice.
I thought about wearing sunglasses, but I thought that might be insensitive.
Too much.
So I'm Alfredo pre-fire.
It's a good look, Seth. It's a good look.
Thank you. Hey, did we get any new reviews this week?
We sure did. New review from The Real Owen Neal.
Ooh.
5 stars. Great podcast. Moose, the movie. Love the podcast, friends. So, thank you, Owen Neal. Moose, the movie. What's that about?
Okay, so this one I can explain.
Okay.
Owen has been requesting that I watch this movie called Moose the Movie. And he makes films, short films, and he also makes unlicensed version of toys of like props and things from movies.
What?
Yeah, he's a cool dude. But he said that he was going to like comment on our stuff every single day until I would watch this movie, Moose the Movie.
Did he make this movie?
No, I don't think so. No. So I'm just seeing how far he'll go.
Wow.
And I mean, he went as far as leaving us a review, so thank you.
Would he come on Movie Friends to talk about it?
I'm sure he would.
So there could be an episode out of this.
Perhaps it will happen.
Interesting. Stay tuned, friends. We have a live show coming up.
Hey, we do have a live show. Speaking of stay tuned, May 25th, 1 p.m., Peabody, Massachusetts. Now, if you read that word, you may think that the town is pronounced Peabody.
I did think that.
You ever watch Peabody and Mr. Sherman?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Or Mr. Sherman and Peabody? What is it?
I know what you're talking about. Yes.
One of them's a Mr. But no, the Massachusetts natives, they pronounce it Peabody. Peabody.
Wow. This whole time, I'm just like, I'm going to Peabody, Massachusetts.
Look, I haven't spent a lot of time in Massachusetts, but what I can tell you is don't assume that you know how they pronounce any word out there.
What movie are we discussing during our live show?
We're going to be talking about Don't Let the River Beast Get You. Fantastic film that I've seen many times. And we're doing a French fry thing, French fry giveaway, French fry activities. So if you're curious about what that means, let us know. We would love to see you there. It's a Memorial Day weekend.
Yeah.
So Sunday, drive out, fly out, maybe. No.
Don't do that.
Don't do that.
No.
But hang out with us. This is going to be like the low key live show of the year. You know what I mean?
The light version. Live show light.
We're just going to talk about the movie, talk with the people there,
Mm-hmm.
maybe do some crowd work.
That'd be good.
Definitely some fry work.
Do you think I can try to throw fries into your mouth from across the place?
Absolutely.
Do you think that's allowed?
Yeah, we can pick them up ourselves.
That's true. I would
Yeah.
never expect someone to pick up my garbage.
No. If you want to be our fry boy, please come out to our live show.
Seeking fry boy or girl.
We'll bring you a shirt to wear.
I love it so much.
The movie Friends Fry Boy for the day.
For the day in small
For
letters.
the day.
On the shirt, tiny letters. Movie Friends Fry Boy for the day.
That's really funny. Anyway, yeah. Hey, we got an email.
Email.
Subject line is The Big Lebowski. Email says, I went to a Lebowski Fest in New York City one year. I drank 12 White Russians. I had the worst hangover because of all the sugar and dairy.
Oh.
Can you imagine?
I want to barf thinking about that.
I had 2 on that episode over the course of 2 hours, and I was ready to give it all up. Okay, they say, I love Donnie and I love Tideland. I mentioned the movie Jeff Bridges' film Tideland.
Yes.
So that's pretty shocking. Michelle is a stoner, and then an emoji that's like someone putting their hands on their head.
No, Michelle is not a stoner.
At what point do you cross the line? When are you a stoner?
Do you think if you smoke every day?
I would say, yeah.
Or like if you can't do an activity without getting high, maybe?
Do people do that?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Okay.
I think if you smoke every day.
Okay, that's the line.
I think. I don't know.
Well, I'm asking
I don't
you.
even know the last time I smoked. Years? Yeah, I said.
Wow, so you're the opposite of.
Yes.
You're a wooder. Get it?
A wooder?
Oh, a stoner. So I just named another natural
I think
material.
we could think of something else besides wooder.
Stone, wood, rocks.
Balsam?
What exists except for stone and wood? Planter?
Okay, I'm a planter.
Sure. Okay. So just to clarify, everybody, a stoner is when you smoke every day.
No.
A planter is when you smoke every few years.
Yeah, here on Movie Friends.
Talk about a shirt.
Talk about a shirt.
I'm a planter.
Just coming up with merch left and right here.
Rest in peace, Philip Seymour Hoffman. This email continues. Sorry. This is a movie I love, but mostly hate the culture around it.
But you went to a Lebowski day and drank.
Yeah, and maybe that's why. I mean, maybe that's why he hates it, because he experienced it.
Yeah.
P.S. Way to go, Ebert. On the review. P.S.S. This is not a broad comedy. I had mentioned that Joel Cohen considered this to be a broad comedy from them, which is insane. P.S.S.S. I don't think that this is a sports movie. And there was a heated discussion in the Movie Friends Discord.
Yeah.
You know, I felt like I had to put on the ref shirt. Blowing the whistle.
But yeah, it was going off. Because
people were coming after Sean, good friend and patron, and he nominated the movie, and they weren't having it, even though they voted for it.
I know.
But, you know.
Yeah.
And that email's from Ben.
Thank you, Ben.
Hey, if you want to send us an email and let us know what movies we're doing that don't fit into the category that we're covering for that month, please do so.
Please do.
moviefriendspodcast@gmail.com. But hey, we're not talking about sports. We're talking about movies. And this week was my pick. So we're talking about Cinema Paradiso from 1988. But before we get into that, here on Movie Friends, we write down a guess of what the other host is going to rate this movie. If either one of us gets it right, we add a pickle to our pickle tally. And we're doing pretty good.
We are doing pretty well.
I'm locked in, and I don't normally tell you what I go for, but I'm I'm shooting a little low this time.
And I'm shooting a little high,
Oh, maybe we'll meet somewhere in the middle.
but I'm locked in.
So yes, today we are talking about Cinema Paradiso from 1988, directed by Giuseppe Tornatore, written by Giuseppe Tornatore and Vanna Paoli, cinematography by Blasco Girato, composed by Ennio Morricone, edited by Mario Mora, costume design by Beatrice Bordoni. Starring Philippe Noiret, Salvatore Cassio, Marco Leonardi, and Jacques Perrin. Michelle, why don't you fire up the projector and do our summary?
Italy, sometime after the Second World War. Salvatore is an altar boy in a village in Sicily. He lives for only one thing: his local cinema. It's there that he bothers and befriends Alfredo, the projectionist. The unlikely pair learn from one another from the movies they project, and from the patrons of the theater. As Salvatore grows up, he must make a decision: stay in the projection booth forever or see the world. When is a building more than a building? When is a job more than just a job? For Salvatore and Alfredo, their lives will forever be changed by their time together at the Cinema Paradiso.
All right. This was my pick for Movies About Movies Month. This is a movie that I love very much, but I would just love to hear you talk for like 30 minutes about this movie.
Well,
And just tell me your experience, whatever, because we have said nothing to each other about this movie.
I sent you one screenshot of Toto smoking.
Oh, yeah, smoking in the theater. Yeah.
That's
But
it.
other than that, like,
Nothing.
I don't know anything about how you feel about this movie.
Before I answer,
Mhm.
I just have to say this has been on the list since the first month of starting Movie Friends.
Correct. Yes. Mm-hmm.
It
Yeah.
was like Parasite, Paris, Texas, this movie.
Yeah, too many PAR movies, so we had to spread them
Yeah,
out.
that's why we couldn't do it. But
Yeah, I've wanted to do this literally since we started the show.
and my question for you, not to derail, but like, why did it take so long? Why didn't we do this during your month? Why didn't we do this in our first month of Movie Friends?
Yeah, I've been thinking about 3 movies that I have picked for this show in light of Cinema Paradiso. One would be Paris, Texas. The other is Magic Spot, and then the third one is this one, Cinema Paradiso. And as I've been ruminating on this movie and just marinating in its themes and stuff, I'm like, I love pain so much. And I love like bittersweet movies. And maybe there's something wrong with me
I
that
don't
these
think
are like
so. No.
the 3 movies that I've been the most excited to talk about.
Yeah, I mean, this one, I guess I could see what you're saying about, like, obviously it's bittersweet, but this is definitely more digestible than Paris, Texas. Oh, come on. If
Well,
I'm
when you
your,
say digestible, do you mean like enjoyable?
yes,
Yeah. Oh,
enjoy
for sure. Yeah. I mean, yeah, Paris,
Okay.
Texas is the
Yeah,
most
and
painful movies ever.
right. This isn't that. This is just like beautiful and heartfelt, and it just like makes you feel all the feels, but afterwards you're not depressed. I wasn't anyway.
Okay.
Paris, Texas, as
Right.
beautiful as it was, and I rated that high because I
Yeah.
recognize for what it is, like never again, you know? Am
Sure,
I going
sure.
there
Sure.
unless forced? I mean, I don't know. I don't know how to give you my 30-minute.
Well, I mean, I don't mean literally 30
Yeah,
minutes, but
okay.
like I want to walk me through your experience watching this movie.
I was charmed right off the bat by little Toto.
Mm-hmm.
Is this the best kid actor I've ever watched? I don't know, but like instantly
But he's pretty good.
drawn to him.
Yeah.
He is so good in like every scene he's in. And when we get the other versions, I'm like, can we just go back to kid?
Yeah. It's tough.
Salvatore.
It's tough to follow that
It's
act,
so
right?
hard. And I can see the mannerisms. You know, we touch the face a lot. The older adult, if you will, Salvatore does that. but it just like missed the mark for me.
Mm-hmm.
This little kid and Alfredo it was my favorite part of the film by far. How did you find this movie?
I watched this. I watched this a while ago, and I think at the time I was working my way through some kind of list, whether it be like the Letterboxd top 250 narrative films or 100 greatest movies ever made or something like that. I watched the director's cut the first time. So it was like 3 hours long, and it was so highly rated, and I just kind of was like, everything about this movie that I saw prior to starting the movie, I was like, this looks so corny and dumb. Like the poster, I was like, this looks so stupid. All the stills of like little Toto looking at film strips or whatever. I was like, how could this possibly be so good? The descriptions, just nothing prior to watching this movie got me to watch it. And I was so negative on it that I kind of watched it. I don't want to say like in defiance, but I was like, okay, fine, let's see. Like, let's see how good this really is, right? Watched it by myself in the middle of the day on a day off. And by the end, I was crying so loudly that it might be the hardest I've ever cried in my life.
Whoa.
Mm-hmm.
Does that still have an effect on you when you rewatch?
I don't think. I mean, I definitely cry, but that first time around and coming to, especially the director's cut, it's like an hour longer. There's a lot more going on. So like going on a much longer journey, and then that being the resolution to the whole thing, which kind of isn't a resolution. I don't. Yeah, you can't. I was just so surprised that that's what it was.
But it sounds like you really needed it, though.
Oh, I
Whatever
mean,
was
it
going on
was.
in your life, you actually really needed that cry.
Yeah, I mean, it was great, especially as a dad, and
Yeah.
everything that this movie has to say about fatherhood and one generation to the next generation, and like what that means and what that can be. I was just like, oh my God, I need to be a good dad.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
I hope.
So, okay, so you're watching it. Did Anthony watch this with you?
No.
Oh.
I know.
So we switched to Alfredo loses his sight. Are you like, what? Because up until that
Yes.
point, the movie's pretty light.
It is pretty light.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, how beautiful is that scene when we project the movie onto the square, into the square?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I was just like, this is just one of the most amazing scenes I've ever seen in a movie
Mm-hmm.
before. I'm obsessed with this. And then, of course, we get
Yeah.
the
And
fire.
and I don't know about you, but for me, another tearjerker is just young Toto like looking out the window, and he
Oh,
says, "Alfredo, it's beautiful."
yes.
You know?
I stopped probably like 45 minutes, an hour in to eat dinner. Aunt was cooking dinner. And he's like, Mitchum's dinner. And so I like I paused my movie and I was like, I was telling him, like, this is a really good one. I
Mm-hmm.
was like, and I'm so charmed by this little kid in the movie right now. Like, it's so good. I'm actually really enjoying it. It was Sunday night and I didn't know what to expect. I mean, I was excited because of the overall theme of this month, but yeah. And that's it. So I wished Aunt watched it with me, but I experienced this by myself and the cats.
So Alfredo is blinded. Are you shocked? Are you like, oh my God, Alfredo's dead?
I
What's
thought
gonna happen now?
well, I knew he wasn't dead because the movie we're bookended, we open up with finding out that Alfredo died.
Right, right.
So I was like, wait a minute, he can't be dead. Maybe he is very severely injured, handicapped. I don't know what happened. Maybe he's on life support. But I was stressed. I mean, I was even more stressed that the fact of Toto is dragging him. How did that kid do that? Alfredo wasn't a small man.
No.
And Toto's a tiny, skinny kid. I was like,
Teeny tiny. Yeah.
how logistically, but we'll let it slide. He saved him.
Yeah.
And we get some face wipes.
We do. This face wipe, I will say though, is very justified because now he's blind and he's
Absolutely. I just
yeah.
couldn't help but think of Face Off.
Mm-hmm. So then he transforms into teenage Toto. Were you like, oh?
Yeah, I mean the transition was good, I think,
Yeah.
from a visual standpoint. But I didn't, like I said, I just missed Kid Toto. And I feel like we had so much setup with Kid Toto. And then, like, we very shortly are with teenager Toto.
Mm-hmm.
And then even shorter with adult Toto.
Yeah. The director's cut fills in those time periods.
So let me ask you, I was reading a little bit. The director's cut.
Yeah.
Does it involve Elena?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I heard that's not great. And so he finds Elena later in life and she's married.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so here's what I would like to do, if possible. Okay, so if you're listening to this and you watched the theatrical 2-hour version, which is the version Michelle watched, and I watched, I've seen like I said, I've already seen the director's cut. But if you're listening to this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a timestamp in the episode description, which will say director's cut talk. And then there will be a second timestamp that says director's cut talk over. Just in case you say, hey, I would like to watch the director's cut, but I don't want it all spoiled by Seth and Michelle. So we'll do that. Does that sound good?
That sounds great. And I cannot believe I was just about to spew some spoilers.
Oh, that's okay.
I mean, I come like
normally
my
we
mantra
talk
in Total Betty is like, no spoilers ever. Like I am always preaching that.
right.
So,
But you know what? This is kind of the first time we've ever had this because anytime we've ever done things with different cuts, we talk about the one and done and you know what I mean? But I do want to explain to you some of the stuff that happens, if possible.
Mhm.
Okay. We're entering spoiler talk now. Number 1, Salvatore loses his virginity to the prostitute who lives in the theater or who works out of the theater. And so at the end of the movie, when he goes back and he's looking at that spot on the floor, that's what he's remembering.
Whoa.
Yes.
Okay.
Also, in that scene, she calls him a bull, and then the movie cuts to his footage of the bull being slaughtered.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's an image.
That's
And
amazing.
honestly, I forgot about that bull part, and then I was like, oh no.
I didn't love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like I will, I'm not a big fan of animals being slaughtered on film, but I thought that this was not that gratuitous.
I think I just excuse it for the time period.
Yeah. So the big change, which genuinely changes the whole movie, and this is, I think, a good exercise in like the first time you see something, that's the way it is. And so now you can't imagine a different thing. So to me, rewatching the theatrical version this week, I was like, but there's so much more that they
You
leave
don't like
out.
it.
It's not that I don't like it. It's I love the longer version. So I'm curious how you'll feel. So anyway, the biggest thing that they leave out is Alfredo is the reason why Elena ignores Salvatore. So when they make a plan, okay, I'm going to come by the theater at 5:00 on Thursday or whatever, and then she never shows up. That's because Alfredo is there and intercepts her and tells her like, hey, look, if you love this guy, you need to let him go because he's going to stay here forever, blah, blah, blah. Plus, her parents had another person for her to marry, and they did not like Salvatore at all. So to Alfredo, he's like, this is never going to work out. All you're going to do is like break this kid's heart and derail his future. So she agrees. And that's why all the letters are coming back, whatever, no address. So then Alfredo tells Salvatore the story about the soldier who stays under the princess's window, right? And he says, hey, if you figure this out, let me know. So in the director's cut, Salvatore gives him the answer. And he says the reason why he stayed for 99 nights and then left is because if she went back on her promise, it would kill him. Where if he's the one to leave, he'll never know if she was going to keep her promise or not. And so he'll still live with hope.
Wow.
And it's at that point that Alfredo's like, you need to leave this town forever. So that's one of the reasons why Alfredo's like, you can never come back here. Like, you can never come back. He never wants him to know that he's the reason why Elena left and all that stuff. So then flash forward to the present day, the oldest version of Salvatore. He comes home and then he gets together with adult Elena, and she has a kid. Her kid is played by the same actress who played the younger version of her. And he just goes through.
That's weird.
Yeah. So they have sex. She's married. He's obviously with someone else. And they just talk about their lives, whatever. And she tells him, Alfredo is the one who, whatever. And she's like, I left a note in the theater. Those invoices that they keep on the walls?
Yeah.
So that's why he goes back and explores through the theater, and he looks through all of the invoices and he finds her note like all these years later. And he's like, oh my God, like what my life would have been.
I feel like I watched a different movie.
It is a totally different movie.
I feel like I can't even be on this episode because I don't even know.
Oh, no, you can.
Well, thanks. Thanks for having me. But I feel like my brain just got shook up.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I'm finding out the truth of something.
Yeah. And so he decides, like, no, Elena has her life and I chose my life. And he goes home. And he watches the reel from Alfredo.
So the movie still ends the same.
Yes. And that's, I think, in editing, because he puts out this version. It's like 170 minutes. Nobody cares. Nobody watches it. They re-edit it, and then they edit it again down to the 2-hour version. And so the 2-hour version, I believe that's what was distributed in America. This wins Best Foreign Picture at the Oscars, huge success, blah, 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 blah. And so they must have figured, like, we can still end in the same place if we just cut out most of the Elena stuff.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And there's a few other things that they cut out. Like, there's a whole sequence where when they're moving the reels on the bikes. That's a lot longer. You find out that was actually Salvatore's idea. Like, he's the one who's like telling the owner, like, hey, we have this other theater. We can play it in 2 different places, make way more money. There is one shot that I really wish was still in the movie, which is Salvatore as a teenager. He's like feverish and sick, and he's like got a blanket on, and his mom is like helping him run the reels because he's the only one who can do it. And so, he, even with like a flu, he still has to go to work.
Right.
So, but yeah. So it just expounds on the whole Elena story. And they were like, let's just make it about the boy and Alfredo. And that's what the 2-hour version is.
Yeah, I mean, it works, obviously, because the version I saw and won awards and I enjoyed. It's just, it feels like the original intent changes things a little bit.
Yeah, well, it changes Alfredo.
Yeah.
Because he literally sabotages this.
I kind of get why he did it, though. Yeah,
I do too.
He didn't want Toto to stay and become a projectionist.
Right, yeah. So I think we don't really need to comment on what I just told you for the rest of the episode.
Yeah,
because we can still kind of talk about everything else. So,
Mm-hmm.
All right, the spoilers for the director's cut is over. Okay, I've got a lot of questions for you.
Please, ask away.
Okay. How'd you feel about the guy spitting from the balcony?
Spoiler alert, he's my crappie. I can't believe that's the first question you asked me. I was like, he'll never get brought up, and then I'll just drop him in when we do our happies and crappies.
Oh, I love him. I love that guy. I don't love him. Like, I hate that guy. That's the devil.
Remember in The Big Lebowski, you hated the guy who laughed?
Yeah.
This is this guy for me.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah, it was like the sound,
Mm-hmm.
just like, it's so disgusting to me. Did we talk about spitballs on this show?
Yes. And we've talked about how we've talked about spitballs on the show.
Okay,
Yeah.
moving on.
Pretty sure that was when we did our Freaks and Geeks series.
Yes, okay.
Yeah. By the way, patreon.com/Movie Friends Podcast. We have an episode for every episode of the greatest TV show ever made, Freaks and Geeks.
I'm pretty sure we're the only podcast that have done this because I don't see any others.
Yeah. Hey, we're the only ones. I love this guy because one of the things that makes this movie so special is that it's not just about Alfredo and Sal. And it's not just like a one location movie. This could be a one location movie and it's just the two of them. But Tornatore wrote this based on like his personal experiences growing up, and he shoots this in his hometown. You know, he doesn't call it his actual hometown, but you know, he makes up a place. But this brings in like what a community experience watching films at the cinema is. And so for that reason, I love the spitting guy because he's the rich guy who can afford, you know, the balcony seats. And one of the things that brings him joy is literally spitting on the poor people beneath him.
Right.
And then they just throw a giant diaper of poop at him, perhaps.
Well deserved.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
a great, I mean.
So great.
But then we also have nursing babies, really, really old people. We have people having sex at one point.
We have the couple. They're my favorite patrons.
The couple who meet, you know, by like looking at each other across the audience. And I love that. I love how the theater is like alive.
Yeah.
And nowadays people are so upset. I went to see a movie and someone was talking, or
I know.
I went to see a movie and you'll never believe it, you know.
Well, that
whatever
is
people say.
annoying, to be honest with
Oh,
you.
it is annoying too. And if I'm in the theater, I tell people to stop.
Yeah, but it's a different culture now.
But I was thinking about movies that depict movie watching from early cinema days, and also movies that were made in early cinema days and how they depict audiences. People nowadays, they forget about it. They be running for the hills, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
But I love how over, you know, what has it got to be? 40 years, 40 or more years, you see the same people over and over and over again. That scene that you mentioned when they project the film out onto the wall, that's because they're going to like start a riot because they can't get into the movies.
I know. Yeah. I mean, this is the thing to do. It's like the watering hole.
Right. Yeah. It's the only place, I think, the priest says when the first theater burns down, he says, that's it. No entertainment.
Yeah.
Like this is all that they have.
I mean, imagine living in this town. Like we would be there every day.
Sure. What else you got to do?
But I would be like a young Toto.
Right.
Because it's in me, because I would want to, not just because of boredom. Like he has a very distinct interest in film and how it works.
Mm-hmm.
And he has an eye for it too. And so I was just thinking about that and being a little kid and what I was like and always wanting to hold the camera and make a movie and hold the videotapes, and found him relatable.
How do you feel about the priest cutting all the kissing?
Hey, I mean, I get it. We're censoring because we feel that is right. The priest was so funny to me. His facial expressions were probably the best part. Because you'd see him watching and he'd like get caught up in a moment and then something would happen and he'd be like, yeah, he was just doing a lot of acting with his facial expressions, which I very much appreciated.
Did you know what the reel was going to be?
No.
What did you think? Like when he hands it to him, what did you think?
I honestly, he gets handed this reel and I don't even know like I had no thoughts.
Sure.
I'm so like just curious of what. I wasn't even trying to predict the next. I just wanted to be shown it. So I had no idea that this like a compilation of all the scenes that got cut.
When I first watched this, I thought it was going to be Salvatore's early films,
Yeah.
that Alfredo had saved them for him,
Yeah.
and that he would watch them and be reminded of like why he became a director in the first place, or something very simple like that.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that's definitely that's what it's going to be. But yeah, I love the idea of like grown, like elderly people not being allowed to watch kissing on screen. And when they build the new Paradiso and everyone's kind of like waiting and waiting, and then people finally kiss. And the guy is like, oh my God. It's wonderful. Because it's not like they're cutting out like, you know, gratuitous sex scenes. It's just kissing or hugging.
Yeah. Imagine like one person's in charge of all your censorship
Right.
of entertainment,
Right.
which,
And
you know, to a degree we all are, right? But this is really just honed in here.
And what I love about that is that Salvatore actually has seen them before.
Yeah.
Because he sneaks in, because he like puts himself into that world and into that, you know, he's hiding obviously, and he'd be given probably quite the thrashing if they discovered that he was in there. But he gets to fall in love with movies in a way that like is literally only between him and Alfredo. They're the only ones who have actually seen these movies, and like there's just a language that you have with a person who has seen the same movies as you. You know, now that you and I have both seen Cinema Paradiso, in the future I'll be able to say to you like, oh, it's like that guy who spits on people in Cinema Paradiso.
Right.
And you'll instantly know what I mean. And so you've got these two people, they're the only ones who are actually watching the movies and love them. And even though one is like 5, how old could that kid possibly be?
I think he's like 8.
Yeah. That is the shortest 8-year-old I have ever seen in my life.
So cute. You know, okay, this scene stuck out to me when Peppino goes to Germany. All the little kids in the classroom are kissing him on the cheek. Say goodbye to Peppino.
Yep.
I was like, I was screaming because I couldn't handle it. And in fact, I paused it, rewound just to watch it over again.
Wow.
To see these little kids to give kisses on the cheek.
Yeah.
So we say goodbye. And also Peppino, is that a great name?
It's a great name. Yeah.
Wow.
But, you know, they're communist. So.
Well, right. I mean.
And that's why they leave.
Yes.
And that's another good thing about the movie. It's showing how all of these relationships that don't work in the real world, they all work in the theater. Because in the theater, no one's in charge. The movie is in charge, and you're all subject to sit down and watch the movie all at the same time.
All the walls are down.
So Alfredo, I mean, I love little kid Toto. And Toto, by the way, is the name of the Italian comedian whose film is playing when the Paradiso burns down. And then, you know, obviously we would think of Toto from Wizard of Oz. I love him, but I love Alfredo. Like, I love this character. I don't think that he's right about a lot of things, but he has no kids. Toto has no dad. And so he takes it upon himself to, you know, at first he's like, get out of here, whatever, just trying to kind of placate him. But eventually he takes their relationship very, very seriously and tries to teach him like what he knows. And even though they both love movies, he doesn't want that for him. Like he
Yeah.
wants something better for Toto. And I don't know. So anyway, how did you feel about Alfredo?
I loved him too. It was interesting to watch him evolve and watch their relationship evolve because, like you said in the beginning, he's shooing him off and he gets kind of like violent with him sometimes, like
Oh yeah, he's like hitting him and
physically throwing him. And
yeah.
I was like, wow, okay. But then really just, you could tell he has a soft spot and knows about his dad and his dad being killed. And specifically the part, well, there's two specific parts with this. When Toto goes to the theater instead of going to buy milk, and that's what he uses the 50 lira on. And then, Alfredo witnesses this because the mom is just like beating him in the square.
Oh yeah.
And so he comes and he goes, "Oh, you dropped it. Here you go." Saves him that time. And then when, what was this? Was this for a funeral? When Salvatore is an altar boy and he's walking with the pastor.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Like a procession, I guess.
Yeah.
And he sees Alfredo. And so he he falls, pretends to get hurt so he could ride in the basket back with Alfredo. Oh gosh, I love it.
Yeah. And he says to him, can we be friends?
Yeah.
Which is like,
yeah,
adorable. And then, Toto is doing his exams and they bring in adults who haven't passed their exams and want to finish school. And Alfredo comes in, and at this point, they're not, they're not the friendliest with each other. Plus, there's people monitoring them, to make sure they're not cheating. But eventually, Toto helps him cheat and like helps him pass school. So they're helping each other. They're doing stuff. They're like partners in crime, basically. Yeah.
I love the insult, "get stuffed."
Oh my god.
Get stuffed.
Yes, the little kid. Like you said, as you watch it, you're like, "Is this the best little kid acting I've ever seen?"
Yeah.
And then just the most insane part of the movie, the building burns down. Luckily, someone in town won the lottery, and so he rebuilds it. It's all nice and fancy. They decide, let's hire the 2.5 foot tall child to be the village projectionist.
They even say, how are we going to do this with child labor laws?
Yes.
Which I thought was fascinating that we actually
Yes.
even brought this to the table for discussion, but we're still going to allow the kid to do it. Also, the mom is now completely on board with this. Now, is this because of, I don't know, will he get paid for this? I think he's getting paid for this. He saved Alfredo from the burning theater, but up until this point, the mom forbid him from going.
Yeah.
So I guess there was just like a turning point where she's like, I'll allow it.
Well, I'm not going to like justify the mom because she's like beating on this kid.
Yeah, but she's also suffering too. And I also don't want to justify that either.
Yeah. But they're living, is my husband alive? Is my dad alive? He does almost kill the girl, his sister, because
with the film.
The film that he has at home catches on fire. I mean, he's a scamp. Like, he's not, he's taking the milk money. Huh?
It was an accident.
Well, no, I'm just saying, like, in general, like, the general vibe of Toto is, taking the milk money to go to the movies all day. That's crazy. So I'm sure financially they're not doing very well. And another great little kind of blink and you miss it moment is Toto asks Alfredo about his dad, and he's like, "Yeah, your dad was a great guy, and I always thought he looked like Clark Gable." And then as they're walking home from the military office after just finding out, yeah, your dad is dead, he sees the poster of Gone with the Wind and Clark Gable, and he smiles.
Yeah, because that's an escape to go to. As rough as life can be, I know I can go and escape into a movie. Growing up, my babysitter was obsessed with Clark Gable's chest hair. And she would put on Gone with the Wind
What?
over and over and over and just talk about how obsessed she was with him and how good looking was and his chest hair.
This is not true or real.
This
How
is
can that be real?
This is 100% true and is 100% real.
How old was she?
Oh, her 30s?
That makes it even weirder.
This is...
How old were you?
Oh my gosh, like, I don't know, how old was I? 5? 6?
Okay, this is... You were living your own cinema Paradiso.
That's right.
Experience.
That's right. The amount of times I've seen Gone with the Wind.
Oh my gosh, you had an Alfredo.
In a way.
But just for Clark Gable's chest
Gable.
hair. Wow.
Oh my God. It's so sexy. Oh God.
I don't like this story at all.
I can't. This is all I think about when people bring up Clark Gable and Gone with the Wind.
This would be cut from my director's cut version.
Being in my living room and her having that on.
Wow. Well, I watched Gone with the Wind once.
You can watch it again now.
I don't know that I remember Clark Gable's chest hair, but if I ever watch it again, I'll keep it in mind.
There you go. You're welcome.
But anyway, yeah. So the mom, of course she's going to say yes. Your kid's going to, they got to be making money. They got a full house.
Yeah. Well,
every
of course,
night,
yeah.
3 crowds every night. And so, he's basically running the whole show. So, yeah, hopefully he's making money. I want to talk about teenage Toto real quick. I think that this kid is good.
Yeah.
I think that he's good. I think that this part it's good. It's interesting. It's just, like we said, that it follows little kid Toto. And he's such a hard act to follow.
Mm-hmm.
I like his relationship with Alfredo during this part, maybe the most, because they can talk back and forth to each other. It's a shame. Like, I feel like even the theatrical cut of this should be 3 hours. Like, it's a shame to lose out on part of that. Did you ever have a coworker who was like way older than you that you were like chummy with?
Oh, yeah. Yes, it took me a little while to get, because my recent jobs of like the past 10 years, it's like me and one other person.
Right.
How many years? Like, give me...
Well, whatever.
Like, okay. Definitely not... Well, absolutely. My previous past jobs before, I'm still friends with them. Yeah.
Yeah, I mentioned last episode, I had a manager who was like in his 40s.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like 16, 17.
Mm-hmm.
Just hanging out with a dude in his 40s all the time. And because of work, you make these connections with people that you would have like never in your life been hanging out with, and you just kind of put together. And I think everybody should have a job.
I think though, because even you saying that, right, and me like scrambling my brain, and I don't know how I could forget about this one particular person who's very important to me. It's almost like you could reach a point you don't see the age anymore.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's how it should be. Like, your coworkers are just your coworkers, and as much as you don't see their age, they shouldn't see that you're just a kid. You're all doing the job together.
Right.
Yeah, and so if Toto is 8 and he can load the reels, then hey, sure, you're a projectionist, kid.
Right.
How'd you feel about adult Salvatore? Not your favorite?
How can I say this? I felt like he did not look like the other two.
Correct. Yeah.
Like at all.
Yeah. This is another French actor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think also because we're with him in this cut the least, it's hard to connect with him even though we've been with his character the whole time.
Yeah, he definitely doesn't look anything like either of his other selves.
It's so strange.
Yeah. He heeds Alfredo's advice. He leaves and never looks back. He doesn't call. He doesn't write. His mother mentions that he doesn't visit and that when they see him, they have to visit him. So it's not like he's just like, oh, I don't have a mom anymore, right? They do see him. And he has sent back all this money, even though they're living in this little village, her house is like a mansion, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think she understands, but he's just completely like left everything. So I mean, you and I are a lot older, but can you imagine like tomorrow just moving to California and like not coming back to Long Island for 30 years?
No. Something would have to significantly impact me to where I can't go home again.
Yeah.
And that's the only way of it. So I get it. I get why he doesn't want to come home, but I mean, I didn't even go away to college. You know what I'm saying? Like, at least
Yeah.
you left Long Island.
Yeah.
I didn't even leave Long Island.
True. But I didn't leave New York.
You didn't leave New York, no.
And the thought of doing that is like, why would I do that?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And I like to travel. There's a big world out there.
Oh, I love to travel too. But for him, like he had to go.
Yeah.
He had to leave.
So it just so happens that the same time that he's in town for Alfredo's funeral, that they're going to destroy the theater.
Remember, like 5 minutes ago, you asked me like, "Oh, what did you think was going to be on that reel?"
Mm-hmm.
My whole thought throughout this movie was going back to the beginning, when we meet the oldest version of Salvatore, I thought, okay, I don't know how we're getting there, but we're going to go home to the funeral and we're going to revitalize the theater.
Mm-hmm.
That's really that's where I thought this movie was going.
Yeah.
And so even here, when we see it getting destroyed, I was like, oh, we're going to revitalize it.
Wow.
Yes. That's
No.
not at all. Not at all.
And he doesn't even like keep anything from it.
I know.
Like it's not like he goes in, he's like, oh, let me take some of these old film strips that are still here, or an invoice, or take a seat.
Right?
You know, the lion mouth projector thing.
I want that.
Yeah. Nope. Because Alfredo warns him against, nostalgia.
Yeah.
And how it would keep him there.
Which I get, because I'm someone who's I fall victim to nostalgia a lot.
Oh yeah?
Yes.
I'm not. I have one tote in my basement that is like everything in my life up to this point in my life.
That's very impressive.
It's either impressive or sad.
No, I don't think so. I think you've just maybe
like that's my childhood, my teenage years, and my 20s in one bin.
I don't have much from childhood, unfortunately.
And you know what? My wife actually pulled it up out of the basement recently. And she was like, oh, look it. And we kind of went through it, and I looked through it with my kids. And I literally thought to myself, like, I could just throw all of this away. Like, I don't even want.
That's good. You
I don't even want this.
Like meaning into an object.
No, not really.
I have every laptop, phone from my early 20s. I have one from when I was 13. My laptop, I will not get rid of it.
Yeah.
Well, also, as we joke, it could be a prop one day.
Well, precisely.
Right.
I mean, me today, as I was going to different thrift stores trying to find a little cap for my Alfredo outfit, I was like, why don't I have a cap? And then I thought, oh, and also I was like, oh, I'll go into my closet and put on a little vest, because Alfredo was always wearing vests. Guess what? I guess I threw all my vests away at one point. So, you know, I think that there's a good mix.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I'm on the one way far side of it. Okay, so I want to talk about this ending, and I think I could talk about this ending for like an hour.
Take it away.
So buckle up.
I'm in.
Theater's destroyed. Alfredo is buried. He goes back home with the reel. What do you think?
I thought it was great. Again, because this is a huge nostalgic moment of Alfredo being like, don't get stuck in nostalgia. But yet I created this of a moment we shared together, moments we shared together of what had to be censored, put this all together, leaves this is the ultimate nostalgia bomb. I loved it.
Like I said, when I watched this the first time, I'm anticipating him putting on the reel, seeing his old home movies, and thinking like, oh yeah, thanks, Alfredo, or maybe Alfredo edited them somehow, even though he's blind. I don't know, like whatever. And when it was the censored scenes, I just started crying, and I'm like howling crying. Like I'm like, oh, because like for me, handing off art, whether it be music or books or films, to somebody else is like so special. And there's a moment in the movie when they're going to cause a riot, and Alfredo says to them, should we make them happy, Toto? Toto's like, yeah, like and he literally says like abracadabra as he's moving. Alfredo talks about, this is no life for you, it's very lonely. I work every single day except for Good Friday. And if they had crucified Jesus on that day, I would be working then too. You see how Alfredo joined this life when he was 10. Like he was also a kid. And so you get this sense of like, he loves this, he respects it, he knows the importance of it, but he's literally given like his entire life to making people happy. And he's the only one who can do it. Nobody knows how to work this like miracle making machine, And the importance of letting people choose for themselves what they consume and what they watch, I don't think can be understated. For me, when I was a kid, my parents let me go to the library and they let me pick out books. They didn't say like, what are you reading? You're not allowed to read that. You're not allowed to whatever. Obviously at home we couldn't watch, crazy stuff, but I think one of the best parts of parenting is being able to share the stuff that meant something to you with the next generation of people. It's so bittersweet because Salvatore's mom says to him, like, you're not happy. Every time I call, it's a different woman. None of them love you.
Yeah, I can hear it in their voice.
And we get all these images of young Toto watching the screen, and he's like amazed, he's bewildered, but he's happy. And it's the only time we see him happy. And then as an adult, when he's watching the footage, he tears up, but he doesn't cry. He's not sad, he's happy.
Mm-hmm.
And it's that line, should we make them happy? And that's what Alfredo gives back to him. He gives back to him that feeling of being happy. And the idea that movies can transport us back to a different time, and that if you're on film, you're never really gone and you're never really dead, because for the first time in human history, we can watch you move around.
Right.
Prior to that, you had books, and sure, you could read someone's words, but it's not the same thing as hearing them and seeing them. And it's so like horrifically bittersweet, the end of this movie, because Salvatore gains nothing. He actually loses more than what he starts the movie with, because at least in his mind, Cinema Paradiso is still there and is still showing films. And at least in his mind, Alfredo is still alive. He loses so much.
Interesting. I don't view it that way.
Mm-hmm.
I'm viewing it like the glass half full.
Sure.
Because like what a gift now to have, and a memory to hold and watch anytime you want.
Right. Right.
And
but that's all, like, his happiness. He's not, he doesn't get a letter from Alfredo that says, chase down that girl that you love. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
the thing that made him happy as a child was watching films, and it's still the thing that makes him happy as an adult.
Right.
And you could look at that and say like, oh, that's pathetic. But who cares if that's where your happiness comes from?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I wrote down a quote from the movie here. So Alfredo says, living here day by day, You think it's the center of the world. You believe nothing will ever change. And that is true. Everyone thinks their experience is their experience. And sitting in this projection booth, you're seeing the world pass before your eyes. You can think, oh, I've seen, thousands of movies and I know what real life is, but you really don't. Anyway, so he says, living here day by day, you think it's the center of the world. You believe nothing will ever change. Then you leave. A year, 2 years. When you come back, everything's changed. The thread's broken. What you came to find isn't there. What was yours is gone. You have to go away for a long time, many years, before you can come back and find your people, the land where you were born. But now, no, it's not possible. Right now, you're blinder than I am. Salvatore says, who said that? Gary Cooper? James Stewart? Henry Fonda? Eh? Alfredo says, no, Toto, nobody said it. This time it's all me. Life isn't like in the movies.
Mm-hmm.
Life is much harder.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it's incredible. It's one of the best endings, I think, of all time. And it's very sweet. It's very nice, but it's bittersweet, like life really is.
Right.
In life there's mourning and there's loss. There's still stuff that makes you happy, but it's not like the movies. It's much harder. And so I love that this movie doesn't try to wrap everything up in a nice, neat little movie happy ending bow.
Yeah, I mean, really, we don't really get quite an ending.
No.
There is no ending to really get. I mean, we're just experiencing, if you just put it on paper, like one guy goes home for a funeral and
Right.
he hasn't been there in a while, and a guy that was influential leaves him a gift.
Yeah.
And that's it.
And again, he doesn't, it's not like he really resolves anything. And even in the director's cut, which we won't talk about right now, but it's not like he doesn't walk away with anything other than what he already had.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. And the other reason that I just love this scene and that like it broke me so bad is, and I've mentioned this before, there's nothing better than being a kid and watching a movie that like you're just not quite ready for yet. Like, if you're 9 and you watch a movie that you should watch when you're 13, nothing better than that.
I wish I could remember that feeling though.
Yeah, it's like, oh, this is a little, above my maturity level here. I'm seeing something that I'm not supposed to be seeing,
Like, do you have an example? Like, can you tap into that feeling?
Sure. I mean, I remember being a, real little kid and watching Goonies, and all the kids are like swearing like crazy, and it's a little, and obviously that's a movie that's like made for kids, but I remember my parents showing me Patch Adams, which is, very sentimental and
but when
cheesy kind of movie, but as a kid watching it, I was like, oh my gosh.
Like,
this guy's walking through a door that looks like a lady's private parts.
Yeah.
We're talking about murder and death and...
But as a kid, you had the conscience to be like, 2 more years, I'll get this.
No. It wasn't like 2 more years, I'll get this. Like, I just knew that I shouldn't... Not that I shouldn't be watching it, but I just knew that I was watching something that was deemed not for me. And that in watching that, I was learning and I was maturing and I was, I was invited to see the kissing and the hugging that the priest didn't want me to see because he thought that it would like, ruin my life or I'd become a bad person. And so Alfredo, like, sharing those parts, it's not like Alfredo's like, I'm going to put together the greatest scenes in all of history. It's like, I'm going to put together the stuff that was deemed not for you. Right. And this is for you.
Right. Yeah. I'm just like thinking of movies I saw when I was younger, like Clueless. The Birdcage.
Sure. Oh, yeah. You told me about watching Clueless
that's
with your dad.
In the theaters and, thinking, very heavily influenced. But as I got older, I was like, oh, I get this now.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing with The Birdcage, First Wives Club. Definitely was too young to watch those.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, if you watch something and your parents are like covering your eyes, you're like, I want to see. And so
right.
Alfredo isn't his dad. He doesn't have that responsibility. So he gets to be like, hey, kid.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So this movie was made for $5 million. Goes on to make $36 million at the worldwide box office. Currently has a 91 on Rotten Tomatoes. It's got a 4.5 average on Letterboxd. This movie is ranked 22nd out of their top narrative feature-length films.
Wow.
Pretty high.
Mm-hmm.
Has an 80% on Metacritic. Ebert originally gave this 3.5. And then when the re-release came out with the full version, he upped it to 4, but said that the 2-hour version is the better movie.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So he was like, the full version is still great. 2-hour version's better, but I'm giving it the full 4 this time. And I mean, that was like 12 years later. So obviously he had more time to ruminate on it. And yeah. All right, let's get into our happies and crappies.
It's time for happies and crappies. Happies and crappies. It's time for happies and crappies. Happies and crappies.
Okay, so my happy is the whole movie. I, as a miserable person, just a miserable, sad sack of a person, I smile through this entire movie. Every part of it. Like you said, it is so charming. Everything. If I have to pick one very specific thing, it's going to be that line, should we make them happy, Toto? And then Toto saying, Alfredo, it's beautiful. It's great. My crappy, it's very light crappy. Is the makeup on the actors at the funeral procession could be way, way better. The old age makeup.
Yeah, I know.
It's real crinkly.
Yeah.
It's just I feel like not up to snuff with the rest of the movie. Like every other part of this movie is top notch. I mean, we didn't mention Ennio Morricone's score.
Oh my God. So
I
beautiful.
think it's great. It's so pronounced and it's just like, hey, I'm back, every time it plays. It's like you're supposed to feel something now. But I love it. I don't, So that's it. All right, what about you?
My happy is when Alfredo plays the movie on the wall in the square. And then my crappy is the movie theater patron who spits. He doesn't ruin the movie for me. It's just, like I said,
he sucks.
Yeah.
All right, we asked some friends on Twitter what they thought. Ben, at Ben Sower,
hey, Ben,
says the greatest movie about movies? If not, it's top 3. And I'd be curious to hear the other 2.
Yeah, can you send your other 2?
Kyle, at Everything Dies, but the dies is spelled with a 1 instead of an I. Now, this is Kyle who came to our live show, Shrek 2.
Hey, Kyle.
He says, masterpiece. Such an incredible film. I'm curious about the word masterpiece.
I use it jokingly a lot, never seriously.
Can one person have more than one masterpiece? Like, is that what it means? And
like
I don't mean
is it like your opus?
Well, I don't mean the textbook definition. Like when people use it, does it mean this person's best?
Or is it just a masterpiece?
Because when I use it, I say a masterpiece.
Yeah. I'll just be like, masterpiece! And it's not. I use it in it's definitely not a masterpiece. Remember the MasterCard commercials? God, they were so good.
I don't, maybe. Do
What's
I?
They, like the
It's
symbol,
everywhere you want to be.
The symbol would become what the subject matter was graphically. It's really well done. Anyway, That's a masterpiece.
Gavin Mann. Gavin Mann at Gavin Mann's page says, "What a film, what an ending."
These are all so short and sweet.
I know.
Because really, I think this movie can be summed up with one word.
Oh?
Yeah.
What's the word?
Well, I mean, you choose your word, but beautiful, moving.
Wait a second.
Touching.
Wait a second.
What?
Wait a second.
What?
You can't say this movie can be summed up in one word and then say pick one.
No, pick your word. It could be.
Well, but then that doesn't mean anything. Anybody can.
It's like a masterpiece or the masterpiece. These are short responses because you don't need a lot to describe this movie. I'm missing the mark here.
Well, yes, those were our short and sweet friends, but now we go to a segment of the show. We're here for people
friends
that we don't know. It's called 1/2 star, 3 star, 5 star. These are reviews from letterboxd.com, which is a website and an app where you can log, rate, and review movies. We start with a 1/2 star review, which is the lowest rating that you can give a film. And we go all the way up to a 5 star review, which is the highest rating that you can give a film. And for the 1/2 star review, normally on the show, I read it in a silly accent. Do you have any requests for this one?
I don't know. I feel weird to go silly here.
I feel weird to go Italian here.
I know.
So
Can we bring Babe Ruth back?
Well, that's kind of the... Maybe I'll just do...
Yeah,
I feel like I haven't done a British guy in a while.
Okay.
So we'll do a British guy.
Okay.
Nothing ever happens in this movie. There are no stakes. And they miserably fail to make you care about any of the characters, which this movie's intention hinges on. Terrible. There you go.
Were you going for Snape?
I don't know what I was going for.
In the beginning, it sounded like
I just pictured
Snape.
a dude in a bowler hat.
Oh.
You know.
Well.
Maybe very tall and thin.
Okay.
Yeah. Nothing happens. I don't know if you thought something happened in this movie, but nothing
happens.
Does. Yeah.
Poor guy had to sit through Nothing Happens for 2 hours or 3.
And you don't care about any of the characters.
How does this person watch this movie and not fall in love with the kid?
Hey, look.
You're soulless. If you watch this movie,
whoa!
You are soulless.
Whoa!
Yes. I'm calling it.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right. Well, this is a non-judgmental show, but okay. You heard it here first. 3-star review says, couldn't get behind the latter half of the film as much as the former, but seeing the mutualistic relationship between Alfredo and young Toto blossom was enough to carry the entire film for me. Yeah, it's a bit too sweet at points, but I had a good time. Bunch of people loving movies, just like me. And then a smiley face, but done, typed out. So, parentheses.
Old school. Emoticon.
Emoticon, that's the word, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
too sweet
5 star.
At times. No way, man.
Too sweet. I feel like this movie, like I said, you want a triple feature. It's Paris, Texas, Cinema Paradiso, and Magic Spot.
Oh, okay. Okay, 5-star review. Go.
And I mean, Magic Spot is such a fun, jovial movie, but I feel like there's just so much pain in that one too.
Yeah.
5-star review says, this truly is one of the greatest movies ever made. A masterpiece of cinema that hits you emotionally, brings nostalgia, and most of all, shows you how beautiful life can be. All right, so we rate a movie as a movie, a schmovie, or a film. We rate it 1 through 5 stars and give our final thoughts and recommendations. If you want to go first.
Sure.
All right. So for you, like I said, I went a little low. I don't know, maybe too low, but I said 3.5 movie.
No, 4.5 film.
Oh, wow. Okay.
You scared me because one of the first rating I saw was 2.5, and I was like, wow, he went
Oh,
really low.
No, I mean, that would be
An insult.
shocking.
Yeah.
Not an insult, but that would be really shocking.
Yeah. No, this is a 4.5 film for me. This is quite beautiful. I really enjoyed it. I'm definitely recommending it to, I would recommend this to almost anybody, actually. I know usually I'm like, but people who like movies only. No. This, like that 5-star review about how beautiful life can be.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I definitely agree to that. Good pick, Seth. I'm glad we finally covered it. Okay. For you, I said I went high, so that can only mean a 5-star film.
Yes. Yes, you're
Wait,
correct.
I'm right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Now, I was teetering on, is this a film or a movie? Because
Yeah.
again, I watched the 3-hour version,
Right.
which is definitely a film.
Right.
But the 2-hour version, it's so much like lighter and
Yeah.
fun, and it's focused on the little kid more. But I'm sticking with 5-star film. This is one of my favorite movies ever made. When I think about movies, I think last week I said to you, this covers everything. Like literally projectionist, audience, filmmaking, all of it. Film history. It's all here in this movie. And, you know, like Alfredo, I take this idea. I'm not a film projectionist, but the idea that anyone would watch this movie based on my recommendation or us doing it on the show is like one of the great honors of my life. Like when our listeners say like, "Oh, I'm going to watch this because you guys are covering it," that's all I want out of the show.
You are a projectionist.
Well, no.
For me.
I'm a curator.
I guess so. I mean, are you
Yeah.
physically like pressing
No.
the button on the
Right.
remote for me? No. But you
But I
are.
would.
I know you would, but you are every week, you know.
Yeah, and
choosing
it's great.
what goes on in the movie Friends Cinema House.
Right, yeah. And that's what's great about, we do this and the patrons get to pick movies for us. You pick movies for us now. I do episodes on new movies that are coming out that I would never go see if I wasn't doing an episode on them. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
it's the beauty of our show is everybody sharing different movies with each other. And again, like sharing that language and the experience, it's great because speaking the same language is really important to building relationships.
For sure, a bonding
and understanding
mechanism.
each other.
Yeah.
All right, so going over to our pickle tally. I did not guess Michelle's rating correctly, so I don't get a pickle, but you do.
I do, yeah.
So you're catching up. Now, year to date, Michelle has won 8 pickles and I have won 9.
Nice.
It's a good thing that pickles last a long time because there's no way I'm going to be able to eat 9 pickles.
What? You just eat like a pickle and a half a day. You're done.
Is that your current pickle regimen?
Wow.
You go to the doctor, they're like, "What are you up to by now?" They're like, "Yeah, I'm down to pickle and a half a day." How's your sodium? Okay. Does this film pass the Seth Shell test? This movie must contain something tangible that is impressive, whether choreography, production design, or practical effect, and it must have a runtime that is justified by its content. I'm kind of iffy on this one because I think that the cinematography is beautiful. Man, the scene where teenage Alfredo walks away from her window and down the alley, and everyone's throwing their dishes out the window, and then fireworks start. I was like, this is the greatest thing I've ever seen. So you know what? Okay, yeah, we'll go with that. The choreography of that shot, very impressive. And then I think the runtime is great on both versions.
I mean, yes, that's a good scene. I don't know.
Don't feel pressured to.
I'm not. I'm just thinking about it, Seth. Don't flatter yourself.
Don't give it a pass. I mean, I didn't make the movie.
You know, I'm more on the first half of being like the choreography and the production design is beautiful. I actually think that either give me a little bit more in the runtime, because the kids stuff, while I enjoyed it the most, I saw a lot of it and I felt like the rest of it was sped up.
Mm-hmm.
So I would have liked either make it shorter or make it a little bit longer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it's a no, I guess.
Hey, if you wish that this show was a little shorter or a little longer, maybe a little longer. Nah, this is long enough. We'd love it if you give us a rating and a review wherever you're listening. It really helps the show. We hit 60 reviews on Apple Podcasts. I mean, Michelle, remember back to the day when we were 12 reviews,
I know.
13 reviews.
Wow, 60.
60. That's pretty great.
That is pretty great.
Considering that most people don't use Apple Podcasts anymore.
I know.
You can also send us an email, moviefriendspodcast@gmail.com. We ask you every week, every single week. We say, hey, send us an email. We would love to hear what you thought about the guy who spits on people in Cinema Paradiso.
Who would you be in the cinema house?
Tag yourself.
Yes, tag yourself.
Are you the young men watching the Brigitte Bardot film?
Are you the guy falling asleep and getting bugs in your mouth?
Oh my God. Talk about a terrorist act.
Oh my gosh.
I would have just jumped off a building if I woke up to that.
Yeah.
You can also support the show, patreon.com/moviefriendspodcast. $5 a month gets you access to all of our additional shows and episodes. We're launching a new show this month called Trailer Trash, where I show Michelle and maybe a guest, who knows, previews and trailers for movies that we would never do on this show, basically. That's the idea. And then I ask her what she thinks about them.
It's wild.
It is wild. So yeah, that's coming out this month, which is exciting.
And that's going to be... Wait, sorry to interrupt you, but that's going to be video only.
Yeah.
Which is super fun.
We're branching out into videos. Look at us. We're a regular old Salvatore.
Look at us.
You also get access to our patron-only Discord. You get to vote on monthly episodes and quarterly themes. You get to support an independent show. We're not part of a network. Come on. Who do you think we are? I'm trying to think of a show that's part of a network, but...
We are liars.
Who do you think we are? We are liars, huh? Okay, anyway. Do all that stuff that I just said. So next week, Michelle, this is your pick.
It is my pick.
I have no idea what you're going to pick.
All right, so we're going to do Cats Don't Dance.
Wow.
The animated film from 1997. Now, I can't take credit for this. I was out to dinner with our friends Andrew and Emily, and I was talking about movies. And then we were talking about animated films that weren't Disney.
Yep.
And so Emily's like, oh, remember Cats Don't Dance? And I was like, oh my gosh, memory unlocked. And then I was just laughing at the idea of like me telling you this is the movie we're going to cover and your response of being like, oh, wow. So yeah, that's what we're going to do.
All right. This is a movie that I've seen.
Oh, it is?
Yep. I have seen this. Yeah.
All right.
So it'll be cool to revisit it, just as watching something.
Yes. It's really hard, as I've discovered. I have not seen a lot of movies about movies. I've seen a lot of TV shows about movies.
Mm-hmm.
I'm watching 2 right now that are talking about the entertainment industry, The Studio and Hacks. And I was like, man, can we just do a TV series instead?
One whole season of...
One episode, yeah, of a show I'm watching. But anyway, Cats Don't Dance is up next.
All right. Wow. So we've gone from Ed Wood to Cinema Paradiso to Cats Don't Dance. That's a pretty good spread, if you ask me.
Okay, good. All right.
Right?
Yes, I think so.
I mean, that's like 3 different genres, but all talking about movies. So cool. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, hey, thanks for watching Cinema Paradiso.
Hey, I'm so glad we got to finally do this.
I know. And hey, thank you for listening wherever you are. And remember, folks, whatever you end up doing, love it. Till next time, thank you for listening. Have a good one.
Movie Friends is produced by Seth Vargas and Michelle Rubenstein. Theme music by Jean Marie Vargas. Visit us at our website, moviefriendspodcast.com, and please subscribe and rate our show wherever you are listening. You can support Movie Friends at patreon.com/moviefriendspodcast. Thanks for listening.
Incoming. Message incoming. Message to Michelle's inner circle. Remember, kids, only Michelle's inner circle can decipher this week's message. Get ready. Get ready. Get ready. Message number 1793. 44. 52. 75. 66. 55. 36. 57. 84. 74. 65. 64. 55. 77. 33. 66. 93. 44. 52. 75. 85. 66. 36. Michelle is counting on you. Do not let her down.